Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our podcast series, The Spotlight Sessions, here at HighLevel. In these sessions, we showcase top leaders in the marketing and sales world. Today, I'm joined by Robert Eason, the founder of Mass Market AI and a Go HighLevel certified administrator. Robert and his team assist business owners and marketers with implementing AI and using HighLevel to its fullest capabilities. We've put together an episode called From Ideas to Action, Harnessing AI and HighLevel for Success. And you could expect three things to come out of this. One, we're going to be discussing riches in the niches and how to leverage that in your business. We're going to be discussing pressure to passion, the journey, the challenges, and how to overcome them. And then lastly, democratizing software creation. And in this episode, we hope that you find tons of value that you can implement in your business. Robert, it's great to have you here. We've been back and forth on social media, finally catching up. And for those in our audience who might not know you yet, could you share a little bit about your personal journey and business journey?
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Johnny, for having me. It was absolutely a dream having you reach out to me. It's kind of something I always hoped for, but never really expected. And then hearing from you directly and being invited on the platform was just like, it's kind of a dream come true moment. And, Go High Level really is the kind of platform that gives you the tools to create something awesome. And I've experienced it firsthand. I've been through just about everything. I'll touch lightly on kind of the background. And I think, honestly, the pressure and the struggles that I've been through have been what allowed me to use Go High Level as an outlet for that situation where I had to find the point of least resistance. It really allowed me to kind of crystallize everything I learned in my different experiences into a product that was scalable and that I could market. I think that's the most simple way to put it. Basically 10 years ago, right after I graduated from Carolina, I did a 3-year stint inside prison, got out and went into inside sales for digital marketing, selling a software product for real estate agents. So I got a lot of experience cold calling, working in a digital marketing agency, learned a lot about that. I was always tuned into the data, and I was number one in the company, eventually quit to start my solar company, which is where I found out about HighLevel. And so every single niche I was in, I took a lot from. Solar really taught me to run call centers and replicate everything that I'd seen in the digital marketing world into call centers. And I can kind of touch on each one if you want me to kind of go piece by piece. You can stop me if you have questions on one of them, but
I think the biggest part here, Robert, and I know when we spoke offline, it's near and dear to your heart when you hear the word opportunity and when you hear the word of challenge. And you shared briefly with the audience here that you went through a part in your life for 3 years where it felt like it was never ending challenge and misery and hurt. During that time that you experienced that in prison, did you ever think that you would transition to what you're doing now and how you're doing it?
Absolutely not. I didn't even really. I thought I'll get into sales, and that was all the hope that I had. I thought, they'll hire somebody for sales, and if I do well, maybe I'll be okay. But I never had the idea that I would be creating software and selling a software product and helping other people do that. Go High Level allowed me to realize that I was capable of creating things that I never thought I could create. And that's, I think, one of the coolest things about it.
Yeah.
Uh,
And it's your point, Robert, everyone has different background, different challenges, different things that go on in their life. And we usually, from what I've experienced and what I've heard others experience, is you find something that's near and dear to your heart and you give it all you got. And it
that's
sounds
it.
like that's what you did with our platform. And again, this was many, many years ago that your experience happened. I think you mentioned it was like 10 or 11 years ago that you went
Yeah.
through that 3 year of hell, right?
Yeah.
Or difficult time. Um, so now, for someone that is listening to this, that is trying to find their way, maybe they're experiencing some challenges where doors keep closing on them. They're not getting the support because of maybe a mistake that they made in their past. What advice, what wisdom could you share with that person that may be in our community as well watching this?
I think learning how to use, I think one of the best decisions I made was sticking with Go High Level throughout all my businesses, because it is something that no one can take away your knowledge about how to use Go High Level, and your knowledge about Go High Level is always going to be something that you can use to provide a service. You can't be fired from your own business. As long as you continue to learn more and more about what you're doing, then you're going to continue to be more and more valuable. Actually, one of the most impactful books that I read when I was inside was Mastery by Robert Greene. And I think that is specifically reading that book, I think specifically is probably a huge factor of why I'm sitting here today. Basically, the premise is like, no matter what it is, whether it's basket weaving or whatever, if you are one of the best at anything, then you will be fine. And I kind of took that as a comfort, and I went into sales and had that skill. I treated that like it was my last opportunity. And so I carried that with me into using High Level. But over the years, I just continued to learn more and more about High Level. And even though the business changed, the sales process changed, the people changed, that was something that remained consistent. And not only is it like you learn more, but your systems build. And it's a bigger system that you have, that's your snapshot, that's your thing. And then your mind kind of starts to realize different that it can be used to solve problems you didn't think it could be used to solve. So it's an amazing platform for that reason.
Yeah, man, and just hearing you talk about it, right? It brings back some of my own experiences and memories of like, the platform is only as good as the driver of the platform, and the brain is only as good as the implementation of the actions. And I appreciate you sharing that and really maybe giving someone hope on, look, if things aren't working out well to your favor, put the brain to work, get great at something you enjoy, and build upon it. And that's exactly how we built out these talking points here. And you kind of alluded to it briefly when we were just introducing yourself, that you've been through a bunch of different niches.
Mm-hmm.
And during that journey you found your skill set in sales. And it sounds like you needed to start to find your sales passion, what you
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed selling or positioning or helping others get more of. So I want to talk about, you mentioned solar briefly, right? Like, I want to talk about how, when you got into solar and you started maybe learning about solar, the processes, the products,
Mm-hmm.
how did software, and outside of High Level, right? Just understanding the use of software, how did that fuel or fast track you to that sales success?
So I actually took a course from Zane. Well, I guess I'll take a step back. When I was in sales, even worked for big companies, I realized the importance of the data and being able to track everything. So I would like do one-on-ones with the head of IT and build my own custom dashboards for tracking my stats. And I understood that was the only way to break down and find where your problems in your process were. So I always had a love for systems. Solar, I never really had a passion for solar in particular, uh, but I could sell it. I was good at it. My buddy and I, we realized, so one of my best friend from working in the inside sales job quit to come do solar with me, and then we were both like, you know what, we can do door to door all day, but any door knockers we hire, they're just going to go to the next company as soon as they have a lower red line. The only way to scale this is to generate leads and provide leads to these guys. And so we're like, we're going to switch to inside sales and bring inside sales to solar. I took a course from Zane, and I don't know I think you probably know who he is. Um, but I had gotten Go High Level a few months before, and when I got his snapshot, I had already built mine out more than his was at the time, and so I started using Go High Level and developing it for that purpose. But I was about to touch on credit. The thing that ended up causing me to focus Go and using Go High Level as my uh, primary offer, just Go High Level implementation, was me seeing how much better subscription services and recurring was than solar. A couple things I learned about some things I didn't like from a lot of the things I did. So solar, It's big paydays, but your installer has to install the job before he pays you. That could take 3 to 6 months. They can cancel. The installer can fold and not pay you if he doesn't install the jobs. And so for all those reasons, I was doing that and credit. Go High Level was the only thing that allowed me to be able to manage the systems for both. I quickly saw like my credit business went up over 6 figures per month. I was getting paid directly by the clients. Nobody could screw me over. Subscription business. I knew what was coming next month. And I was like, okay, I love that, but my skill is not in credit. My skill is now in high level. My skill is in system building. And so I said, here's the move. I said, I'm going to pull out of solar and I'm going double down on this. And definitely it's something that I'm very passionate about because I've seen how the systems can really impact a business. It's the most important thing.
Sounds like you were a little bit ahead of your time without even realizing it. Like it was like an aha moment where you're like, man, I keep getting, these folks are not holding their end of the bargain. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. You shift a little bit, you bring a structured model into the solar industry for you to leverage. And then you're like, man, this is still not as good. And then I guess you started creating the other business. And, as you start evolving in that second niche, what did you notice when you started leveraging systems and automations and software and that flow of technology?
Really, I love paid ads. And so with solar, I never got to scale it as much because we had problems with installers and stuff like that. With credit, I built a system with 60 employees in the Philippines, and we spent about 50 grand a month on Facebook. And so that's a lot of data to process. That's a lot of, it's a big system. And so that's what really, I guess, cut my teeth for understanding how to run a company at scale using Go High Level.
With that part, yeah, and with that part there, like when you started bringing the 60 people, right, and you started to experience that, and you got a little bit into trying to formalize and really structure your learning and your execution. How did that evolve into you investing hours and hours in training to become a certified administrator? Like, how did that happen?
So as we started, as we have like 60 employees, over 1,000 clients, I started to spend my entire day handling IT tickets. That's all I'm doing now. And so I started building my own IT team. So I have my IT handling the systems for all of my companies, for solar, for credit repair and business funding, and then I had an ERC company at the time. So I'm doing all three. Trying to learn how to manage these partnerships and do a good job at all of them. So I'm building more and more systems to be able to handle each of them, scaling my IT team. And then around that same time is when AI taught me how to code, and I became absolutely obsessed with creating the Zap I created for the 2.0 API for GHL. I was trying to integrate GPT-4 in to be able to tell clients where exactly to go in their payroll provider to get the documents they needed for us to submit for the ERC tax credit.
Interesting.
Like that. And I was like, this one small improvement in the business is extremely valuable. If we can cut the time it takes to get these documents by 3 weeks, it's a huge increase. It's a huge deal for all these companies. And I was like, I can just sell this on its own to companies.
So you went super niche within the niche where the biggest pain problem was documentation, getting those important things so that way the deal goes through. You went in there, you created an API, you created a process, a system, and went go to market with it. And in order to get that far, you mentioned here, in a very chill, nonchalant way, AI taught me code. Could you jump in a little bit about how AI taught you code? Like, did you take like an AI class or?
No. So I was obsessed with it from the jump for whatever reason. I'm sure a lot of people have that experience. When I figured out that it could tell me exactly how to get the documents, it's like go up to the screen, the green bar at the top, click the button on the right. I was like, holy crap. And then I'm like, how do I integrate this into high level? And you'd be surprised that GPT-4 knows everything about Go High Level. And so it's like you're gonna need somebody that can help you code, but if you create an application on Zapier, you should be able to do OAuth. And I'm like, it's not always right, but I would use it. I'd say, okay, so what's the first step of creating this app? And I just start going step by step. Eventually, I figure out that when it gives me a wrong instruction, I can just copy this, what I'm seeing on the screen, paste, and as long as I can verbalize what I'm confused about and be like, hey, you said this, but I'm seeing this. What does this mean? It'll tell you. And so eventually I had a process to where I was able to code. I've got like a 2-hour session of me actually building this app in the first place with AI teaching me how to do it on my YouTube channel. And that's what I actually used to give my IT team who was struggling to do it. I was like, here's how to do it. And I have no formal training in computer science. But that experience, I was like, I'm pretty sure nobody's experienced anything like this before, or very few. And so I was electrified. The minute I had the idea, I think I slept maybe 6 hours a night, was glued to the computer, obsessed, and also kind of clinging to it as a lifeline, because besides prison was a lot of pressure. The other really big pressure was that came more recently, and it's really what fueled this this spell of growth. I was using credit cards to buy my leads to scale our solar business. I did that from the beginning because we actually had the team switch to cold calling. We about ran out of money trying to sell solar in North Carolina. We found that virtual doesn't work there. And so instead of folding, I took out a credit card and I bought leads. We closed more deals that month than we ever had.
Oh,
and so
wow.
now I'm trying to scale out of this debt. Well, two years later, I had pretty much scaled out. I was owed 300 grand, had 150 grand of debt. Then the installer folds on 17 jobs. And
Oh
so
my
now I'm
goodness.
negative. And this is the time when I start copying loose sender into HighLevel, learning how to code, doubling down on credit. And then I had this moment where I'm like, I think I can create a piece of software that's valuable. And I just, I ran with it. And here we are. Now I'm on the HighLevel spotlight. And I'm like, it's just an amazing thing.
It sounds like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Sounds like a roller coaster. And it sounds like the seatbelt was half on.
All right.
Okay.
That's
And it sounds like you made it right to the end of the ride, which is amazing. I want to talk about, you really, you got my heart beating here a little bit because when I start hearing about the way that you started scaling it, it's definitely a risk, right? Because there's no guarantee in advertising and leveraging, credit to do this and banking on people to pay you and fronting the money to get where you got to get to.
Yep.
Um, when did you realize in your experience with different niches that you really needed to niche down into the software angle of things? And then what made you really commit to the hours and the attention that's required to pass, the curriculum associated with HighLevel and being certified?
And so I started running ads and just getting a sense for the types of people that were a good fit, right? And so my ad was for solar clients. As I started bringing these first clients, I realized how tough it is it's hard for them to see my value. I started to realize that HighLevel agency owners, they understood how good I was at what I did, whereas other people didn't really necessarily understand. And so eventually I started targeting only HighLevel agencies, and I started to see this is where I really shine. My skill set is best fit here. And I was like, okay, if that is what I'm doing, then I need to differentiate myself and also show them I need to double down onto that. So if I'm going software, if I'm going to work only with HighLevel users and agency owners, then I need to differentiate myself any way I could. I took the course part, it's long, but it wasn't that very hard for me. The first exam where it's just the multiple choice, I think I got like a 98 my first try. But the actual proctored exam knocked me out a couple of times. I was like, it's actually a very well put together test. You're pretty much setting up somebody's whole business in like 1 hour, the basic online presence. And so I think it's a great bar. And it certainly has, being one of the first 100 to have the certification has helped me tremendously.
Congratulations, man! And it's a milestone to be one of the first 100 to do so, because it's always ever growing. And with that in mind here, with what you've shared with your story, could you share could you share a little bit about what pressure to passion means to you?
To me, that has been, I think it comes down to faith, right? I think when pressure hits, a lot of people are afraid to put in the hard work that's required when you have faith. I believe that I believe you can do anything that you put your mind to if you truly are willing to do the work that comes behind it. I think people don't believe in themselves because they're not willing to put that work forward. And so, no matter what has been at my back, I've always said, okay, well, I'm getting out of prison to start this sales job. I've got no sales experience. But if I memorize the entire script before day one, if I don't sit down at my desk, if I come in 30 minutes early, an hour early every day to source better leads than everybody else, I'm going to win. And guess what I did, my first month and every month. And then with my back against the wall here with this solar installer putting me in that situation, then I'm like, okay, I'm not going to fold this time either. I'm going to, thank God I'm blessed to see this opportunity here. I'm going to put every single ounce of energy I have into it. And guess what? I know it's going to work out. And so I think the more times I get up strongly, the more I realize that I can, And so um there's some sayings about this, like
Mhm.
I can't remember the right saying, but the pressure has been the secret to my success. The only thing that you have to have is faith. Faith in yourself and a willingness to take on the responsibility of writing the story the way you want to write it.
Yeah. And that hits home in many different ways. And, for someone that's listening to this now, whether they're on a jog, they're in their car, a lot of our community members, our users, will listen to spotlight sessions for stories like this, right? To really get to know members of our community that are doing well, that are willing to share. And, my goal is always to make sure that our audience could relate. And I want to bring a potential way that they can relate to you. For somebody that is maybe setting up their software. They got into HighLevel maybe, about a year or so ago.
Mm-hmm.
They're not seeing the success that they hoped for. They're not really understanding the true product market fit. They're not finding like their superpower within the platform, but they know enough, right, to keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
And the pressure is jumping on them. It's really it's a mental tough game. What advice or wisdom could you share to that person listening that the forward thinking,
Mm-hmm.
that here's what you should consider if you're feeling that way to overcome that?
I think if you need to, just main thing is don't give up and just listen to your customers. It's okay if you lose the first, some of the first ones. That's how it is. Every single month, your product is going to get better as long as you're listening and willing to put in the overtime to continue to improve your product. You will win eventually. If you have passion in your product, if there are people that believe in it, then just keep making it better every day. If you have to go get another job, if you have to flip burgers, whatever you got to do on the side to make ends meet in a way that can sustain you to keep moving, as long as you can keep playing the game and you don't quit, you're gonna win. Because it's like I said, it's about being a master of whatever it is you do. And when you put in a certain number of hours, there's no way that you're not going to win as long as you don't stop. And so just keep listening to your clients. Make your product 1% better every day. We all know the expression of us getting 1% better every day. Apply that to your product. As long as you don't quit, eventually you'll reach a point where you find that fit. We've really found it now, but there was a month I spent 20 grand on ads early on. I think it was my second month of running ads, and hardly anything closed. And so you're going to go through those ups and downs. You just got to find a way to keep going. It's the only thing that matters.
Yeah. And, when it comes to, us wrapping up, pressure to passion, obviously, what you consume, what you're around, and what you do plays a big part. What are some things that you enjoy doing to get away from the computer, to feed the mind, the heart, the soul, the body? that aligns and
Absolutely.
helps you grow your business?
To me, just staying in the gym is the biggest hobby I have, and I think the biggest thing for my mental health. Um, I'll have to say, like, the more I've worked in front of the computer, it can definitely kind of put you in a funk, especially when you start doing coding and stuff that's highly technical. Um, I think it's important to stay social, make sure that you're getting out of the computer on the weekends, especially. And I need to go to the gym every single day. So I meditate and I go to the gym are the two things that I do every day that I think are absolutely essential for being able to keep going, keep going and keep going. Um, Bad things are going to happen, and having some consistency where the gym is the easy time. Meditation is the easy time where you learn to calm your mind down, and you can be successful in that no matter what's going on in the business side. You can go to the gym and you can reach your goals. Like, reaching your goals in the gym is much easier than reaching your goals in business. And so it's like, it's the area where you can win every day. It's good for calming you down and relieving stress as well.
Yeah. And not everybody does that, right? And not everybody, and something that could be so obvious, or of course you need to,
I
like you
didn't.
had said, it's easy to get stuck in the flow of things,
Mm-hmm,
especially if you're coding or you're learning a new skill set or you're really pounding the phones to make those new relationships. You could
mm-hmm.
easily put that to the side. So I appreciate you sharing that from personal experience. And obviously, like, as you know, we're talking about like riches in the niches and the storyline and experience behind Mayor, staying focused, mental health, overall commitment to the journey and to you and those goals that you have. Let's talk a little bit about the um, competitive business businesses and business people that are out there, right? And
Mm-hmm.
democratizing the software, right? Democratizing systems and resources and what used to be considered like only one or two companies could do this, right?
Right.
Um, can you talk a little bit about how you shifted from sales, blogging, software to now that business mindset of bringing everything together so that way you can position the software strategically?
Yeah. Um, so there's always this debate about whether, and, I'm kind of new in this space relatively. So, I may say something that might not make sense, but I'm going to give my best interpretation, kind of what my experience has been. When I was using Go High Level so much and bragging about it to my friends, some of them would say, "Oh, well, you can't sell that because you didn't write the software yourself, or it's not all proprietary." And really, I think that is so wrong, especially today. I think being able to build something quickly and get to market quickly is the most important thing. And once you have revenue coming, then you can build it on, all on its independent piece of software if you want. But honestly, working with a system where you're patching together other pieces of software, you can trust that those companies are going to continue to be the best at whatever that piece is. And if they're not, then you swap them out with somebody else. And so it's going to be very difficult for somebody to compete with the speed and efficiency of the system that creates. Um, so, realizing that you can patch together all these systems and use Go High Level as the backbone to create softwares in a time right now where AI is revolutionizing the whole world. It's just like there is so much opportunity for people that have a skill set and Go High Level and can use that as their foundation. It is a blue ocean. And that's a small example, but in every single niche, there are efficiencies that can be created like that.
Yeah. And
In solar,
how are you? How are you? Because we spoke about this briefly offline. How are you?
mhm,
Like, what other type of AI are you leveraging? Are you doing voice AI? Are you doing customer service related AI with live chat?
mhm,
How else are you, whether it's for your business or the businesses that you're supporting as a Go High Level certified admin? What are you seeing
yes.
people wanting?
So the voice AI is really kind of the hot thing, and the real magic happens when you have it working in sync with text AI. So if someone calls my business and then they hang up halfway through the call, the AI's I'm going to analyze that transcript in Zapier And if it sees, okay, there's a human here, but there's no outcome, we didn't reach a resolution, it's going to send them a text that says, hey, I think we got disconnected. Can we book an appointment for you, or what did you need? And it's going to call them back, and the agent's going to say, hey, I think we got disconnected. Can we help finish booking an appointment for you? And so I'm attacking both directions with everything that we're doing. The text AIs, they can freeze up if they get a tough question. The voice AI pretty much is always going to collect all the data. And so when you use them in combination, it just creates the most efficient situation possible. And
Yep.
so that could be used for onboarding. If there's a long interview that
Mhm.
has to happen, there's tons of cases where that's helpful. It can be used for appointment setting, obviously. And then getting these infrastructures set up, the reality is, like when GPT 4.0 came out a couple weeks ago,
Mhm.
every single provider within a few days said, okay, now you can flip this switch to 4.0. And when you have these systems set up in your business, there's going to be a day where it comes out and the switch gets flipped and it's automatically better than people at those jobs. It's just going to happen. And those prompts that you had to have super complex prompts to guide this dumb AI through, it's going to get to the point where the AI is so smart. You say a prompt as simple as close the solar deal, and that's all it needs. It's going to be less and less prompting, and there's just going to be a turning point. And so,
Yeah. It's
it,
so powerful because obviously our audience didn't hear the conversations we had. We went in depth on all this stuff on all these topics, and what amazed me was when you were sharing stories about every day you're learning something new based on your customers and their demands, whether they're
mm-hmm,
business owners or other marketers serving their marketers. A lot of times the marketers you're serving, their customers don't even know you exist. You're just
right.
working with the marketer directly, and the business owner that you're working with. We were talking about how the sales team, right? They're so impressed with the infrastructure that they're like they even get more excited about the sales process, working the leads,
Mm-hmm.
getting things through the process. So um, when we talk about AI and people are interested in getting involved in AI, what tip or two could you give with implementing AI in HighLevel or in a business as a whole, based off of your
Mm-hmm.
expertise?
Um, so the one thing that kind of bridges the gap, which is why I created it, is our 2.0 Zap and Make application, which lets you take way more actions, like 100 different actions inside Go High Level from outside Zapier. And so that really opens it up for someone that doesn't know how to code. So stay on top of softwares that are in your niche that then figure out how to patch them into Go High Level and put AI in between.
Okay,
Um,
so if there's a great solar software or a great credit repair software or a great home service business software,
mhm.
is what you're saying, look at their documentation, understand their functionality, get a trial if you can, and, and get yourself involved in that software so then you can almost recreate it or connect that software to HighLevel as needed for the demand of your customer.
I think you need to stay aware of the softwares in your space, but I think the most important thing is using AI to answer your questions on a daily basis, just so you're familiar with what it's capable of. And then the other part of it is just understand high level. Make sure you understand all, like if you're using it long enough, like if you go get certified, you're going to learn it to a level where you start to think differently about the possibilities of the software. Once you're in that mental place, you're going to find efficiencies. So, obviously we work to set up appointment setting for some companies, but for other projects, we are just doing AI software development with Go High Level as the backbone. So, for instance, one of them is a service for loss recovery firms that transcribes fire dispatch calls. Instead of having a person that would sit there and listen to the call, now we just transcribe it. I use AI to analyze it and then fire the leads into their sub account. It's that simple.
Wow.
Um,
And with that point, that's pretty complex, very niche, very unique type of business. And that's it's refreshing to hear because sometimes people think that maybe the market's saturated, maybe there's not a demand. There's always a demand when there's problems.
mhm.
Or for someone that is for someone that is looking for help in all of this, why should they go to someone that is certified admin versus maybe just a freelancer or someone who claims to be good at what they do by some experience online?
The certification shows that you're a true expert and you really understand the systems well enough to move quickly and efficiently. Uh, So like someone that's been using Go High Level but doesn't have, let's say, an existing software as a service company, they don't have the snapshot for that. They don't, and they also don't have a lot of the know-how. The more experienced they are, the more quickly they're going to be able to execute your idea, and with less going back to the drawing board. You bring somebody to the table who's going to come with the wrong approach, you're going to end up wasting tons of hours. Go High Level has the potential to reduce the cost and time of developing a software by 10 times. But if you get the wrong person trying to help you, then it could end up still taking 5 times longer than it needed to. And the certification is just proof that this guy does know what he's talking about. He does have the experience. And when you're able to set up a system like you have to on that proctored exam in 1 hour, there's not really margin for a lack of understanding.
Yeah, man, it's been fun. It's been fun spending time with you, and our audience. Typically, like I mentioned, they're listening to learn, to grow, and for those of you that are not yet customers of HighLevel or have never experienced the software yet, there'll be a link below to go ahead and get started with your free trial of the software. Feel free to also click on the description to learn more about Robert Eason, how to get a hold of him, how to pick his brain, or maybe hire him for some of your special projects. His information will be below there as well. Robert, man, it was a pleasure meeting you, chatting with you, learning about your story, and just really seeing what folks like yourself in the Go High Level Certified Administrative Directory are doing to help others fast track to their goals. Any last remarks you'd like to share with our audience before we take off?
So my plan is to give away access to my softwares, my Zaps that can allow you to basically use High Level to create your own software as a service when you sign up through the link that's going to be below too. So that should help you guys. Dream come true being on here, Johnny. So glad you reached out to me. I'm just so excited for the next year is going to hold, man. And thank you for letting me share my story here. I hope that some people can be inspired. Go High Level is the perfect outlet for you to pour yourself into when it's time to dig yourself out of a hole. And I can tell you that it'll let you dig out fast enough. It can get you there.
Amen.
So
I,
thank you,
I
Johnny.
appreciate your kind words. I appreciate you participating in this. The link below will be on there. Take a look at that link with what Robert is offering to you as a no charge, no requirement to complement what you're doing now. Robert, again, great. We'll catch up next time. And to our audience, we always appreciate you tuning in and being loyal to our spotlight sessions. Till next time.